Hi, here's May and welcome to the third part of drawing Genshin Impact characters with modern outfits. If you haven't seen the first two parts and you like this one, you can definitely check them out as well. But in this video we're going to look at 3 more Genshin Impact characters with modern outfits. This will be the final part of this little free video series, and maybe I'll draw some more Genshin Impact characters in the future since I really enjoyed Genshin Impact and drawing them, and I think the art style of the game is very pretty. But let's get started with the first character. First we have Xingqiu, and for his pose I went with a very dynamic pose, which was that he was jumping and the camera angle was kind of from below. And I already made the sketches for the poses before I started recording, and I wanted to include some from below and above as well. I changed the hand of the left position for the pose often. And he kind of looks like he's playing a sport, like maybe volleyball, but I don't think he would actually do that much. He would probably rather read, but I really wanted to include a dynamic pose for him, so I went with this one. What I struggled with the most while drawing were probably the folds, especially when drawing flowy clothes. And for his outfit I went with some shorts and a big cardigan sweater over a t-shirt. Both are oversized. And I also included some boots and a few bracelets, and of course also a representation of the earring he has in the game. While coloring, you can see that I changed the background color so that it wouldn't be white, and I like to go for a color that kind of fits to the palette of the clothes. You can also just use light gray. It also helps with, in general, making your character not appear too dark or too bright. The palette I used for him was focused on turquoise as a color, since I think it really fits with the gold brown eyes he has. I wanted to focus on drawing flowy clothes here and the placement of the folds, and I also did add a blue rim light line on the shorts and the boots he's wearing to make the drawing look a little more special. And I think if Xingqiu would be in the modern world, maybe as a student, he would probably be an artist or a writer. In general, he would read a lot and maybe also come up with stories. In school, he would maybe be kind of a nerd and also not that athletic, different than he's portrayed here in this pose. He would also be shy probably, but also joke around sometimes, and his best friend would probably be Chongyun, and they'd very likely hang out together a lot. Next up we have Kazuha, and for him I went with a pose where he would be sitting on the floor. His head kind of leaned against his one hand. For his outfit I went with an oversized sweater jacket, some rather loose pants with pockets. I also included a red scarf, which kind of resembles what he's wearing in the game. I really liked doing his hairstyle in general. Drawing the strands was a lot of fun to me. For the palette I went with a red, brown and also a little turquoise. I wanted to include more turquoise originally, but it didn't really fit, and now it's only really on the shirt he's wearing under the jacket, which you can only see below his chin. During the shading process I made sure to include an extra level of shading where his body would cast a shadow. And I often had to correct the face. Often when you draw for too long you don't see the mistakes you make, or when you're not mirroring your canvas. I sometimes then took a break or did something different and then came back to the drawing and corrected it. I decided to change his expression in the end to make him smile a little more, since I think in general if Kazuha would be in the modern world as a student, he would probably be very kind to everyone. In my opinion, in the game he always has this calming aura around him, and he tries to calm others down as well. He would probably be rather shy but also popular, since if someone talks to him he would probably be very kind and like to help out everyone. I also think he would be pretty smart and also never late. I could also see him as being a very athletic student. In general I think he would be good at most subjects, but I could also see him being a little depressed maybe even secretly, but in general he seems like he would be pretty good in school and also good at interacting with others. In general I used Pinterest a lot for the outfit and palette inspiration. Overall with the palettes and outfits, I tried to include a variety of them. For the shading, I went with a cell shading method, but I also blended a few shadows. Instead of including just one level of shading, I sometimes use 2 levels of shading. For the highlights on the hair, I always went with these zigzag shapes, and I often also included a highlight line on the outer lines of the hair. Next up we have Chongyun, and for him I went with a pose where he would be standing with one knee and one of his hands pointing upwards. His outfit is made up of an oversized t-shirt, then he has these arm sock things, I don't know what to call them, maybe like gloves, but it's kind of like these things you would normally see as leg warmers or what you would call them, but for the arms. Then he wears these shorter sweatpants. They look kind of a little like his original pants in the game. And I also decided to include this circle pattern multiple times and some pretty simple slip-on shoes. Making this, I struggled with the t-shirt folds a lot, even though I think the t-shirt isn't really flowing much or something like that. So it shouldn't be too hard in my opinion, but somehow I struggled a lot. So it shouldn't be too hard to draw, but somehow I still struggled a lot with it. I forgot to record the coloring process for this, but overall I decided to make 2 versions out of this since I couldn't decide which one I liked more. In both versions I used some blue and purple as a base for the t-shirt, but then it's kind of like a dark and a light version of the outfit, one with white and one with black. At the end, for most of the drawings, I also added a soft light layer with gradients to portray the light a little more. I just did a clipping group over the whole drawing of the character and then filled in the color. And lastly, for the line art, I duplicated it in the end and made one layer soft light and changed the lower layer to the soft light blending mode and added a slight blur for it. You can do that to make your drawing appear more soft. And if Chongyun was in a modern world, as a student, as I mentioned before, he would probably hang out with Xingqiu a lot. They both would probably be kind of nerdy, talk about books or maybe superheroes or something like that. I think Chongyun would really be a fan of superheroes or in general movies maybe, while Xingqiu is more on the reading books side. And I think in general Chongyun would be very sweet to everyone and also help out everyone, even though he's rather shy. If someone asked him to do something, he would be very, very kind. I really like how wholesome he is in the game, and I think he would probably be pretty popular because of that, or at least people would think of him as a nice person. And for his academics, how good he would be in the subjects, I think he would be alright at everything. Maybe not the best, but at least decent. He would definitely be the kind of person who tries his best. And he would also not be lazy and purposeful. He would maybe be the little more cheerful version of Kazuha, where Kazuha would be rather shy but very kind if someone talks to him. That's it for the third video of drawing Genshin Impact characters in modern outfits, and with that the 3-video series comes to an end. If you liked this video and haven't seen the other ones, you can definitely check them out. And in general, you can comment what you think the characters in here would be like in school, or in general what kind of life they would have, what job they would have, and maybe also which of the outfits you like the most. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, you can like and subscribe. It would make my day, and have a good day. Goodbye.